Okay, so let's say you're in this position, you have your sear cage, and you've removed the sear pin from the sear cage. Your sear and your sear spring, your sear cage are all separate, and you're trying to put it back together. You can put the sear and the sear spring into the cage and take punches and put them through and try to poke around until you eventually get it. That will work eventually, but ain't nobody got time for that. Something we use in gunsmithing quite often is called a slave pin. And it's just to keep the springs and everything aligned. So what I'm going to use as a slave pin is this dowel off of a Q-tip. You can of course have more permanent ones, some metal ones. And you want it to just span the width of whatever part you're trying to keep retained. So this just spans the width of the sear. So we know that this long leg actually fits into the slot in the sear cage. So the long leg goes out on the sear. Put the spring into the sear, and we get our slave pin in there. If we're not so clumsy, we can get it in there. There we go. Slave pin in the sear, and then we can shove all of that up through the sear cage. So I'm going to put the spring end through, and I'm going to put the sear up and through the sear cage. Go ahead and just slot that in there. And then we look through the side here for our slave pin. So we can see it, it's all lined up. What I like to do is just take a punch and just force that slave pin out with the punch, and that lines up the spring and everything. We can put our sear pin back in. Maybe give it a little tappy tap, our percussive maintenance device, and we're all reassembled.